All right, so if you look at my intake air temps, it's 155. It's like my intercoolers aren't working at all. This is a 2015 Audi S4. I think I split an intercooler core because it's 83 degrees out and it's 155. The intercooler's not working. Something's going on. I think I split a core. This is my second set of cores. The car is E40. It is full bolt-on, dual pulley, headers, full exhaust, throttle body. The only thing it doesn't have is a porta charger. It's been running hot. It's pulling timing if I get on it. That's when I noticed, and I started checking my temps, and they went way up to like 200. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So long story short, I'm gonna fix it. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. All right, so this is what I decided to do. I got a 5-gallon tank. This is a fuel tank off Amazon. It's pretty cheap. Comes with these little mounting brackets. I got an EMP pump, W32, I believe they call it. WP32. This is way better than any of the 150s or the 50 that's on the car. This is like badass. I welded a nipple on to it so I can go with the AN fitting. I'm gonna weld some nipples on here for my return. I gotta weld a feed tube to feed the pump. Got all my tubing and fittings. I'm just gonna use the factory Siamese intercooler feeds for now. I wanna port the charger, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna use this, and when I port the charger, I'm gonna switch to those adapters, get a little bit more flow. All my fittings and stuff. Got these cool bulkheads, you drill the car, so I'll show you that. A little bit of water wetter. I got 8 gallons of distilled water. The tank, it fits right here. You do have to take your spare tire and tools out. I don't go on trips in my car, so it doesn't bother me. But the tank fits right here. I think I'm gonna have to trim this down a little bit with the grinder, a little flat. Other than that, I think we're good. The problem with these cars is I have the heat exchanger and a divorce loop and everything, but the issue is it only holds like 2 gallons of fluid for the supercharger loop. So with the 2 gallons of the heat exchanger and all the lines of their hold plus this, I think it'll be around 7 gallons of fluid. I'm gonna run the pump straight to the intercooler from the tank. So tank to pump to intercoolers, and then from the intercoolers, it's gonna go to the heat exchanger and cool off and come back to the tank. So in theory, the cooler water should be in the tank pumping to the bricks. We could put a drain valve on it on the bottom here. You can plumb it to the side if you want to drain it out and put in some ice. I mean, packing ice in here will kind of be a pain in the butt because it's so small, but if you really want to do it for a track day or something, you could. So that's definitely something to consider. But this is what I went up. This is budget friendly, except for the pump. The pump is very expensive. But this is like $100 and something. There's $100 and something in hoses. And then I already have the heat exchanger and everything. So I also have some new bricks I'm going to put in the blower. So I'm going to get all this stuff mounted in the trunk how I want it. And then pull the supercharger, switch the bricks, plumb up all the stuff, run the lines, and do all that. All right, so I got the trunk finished up. I have to make a little bracket for my pump. But other than that, this is my fill. Take this off. So here. And you can see everything is here. Water tank, EMP pump, lines and stuff. I have these nice bulkheads, so the lines thread right on. So I'll go into the car and show you how else I do everything. All right, now I'm underneath the car. This is the trunk pan. I have one line right here going to a fitting on the other side of the bulkhead. There's another one right here. I did heat wrap everything that goes near exhaust and everything. The lines go up into these pans. I gotta put these back. These all go back. Put 3/4 line all the way down both sides. There's a 3/4 line on this side. This one goes straight out all the way down, crosses over. It's nice and heat wrapped, and goes to the blower, straight to the blower. And then one comes off the blower and goes to the other side of the heat exchanger. And then out of the heat exchanger, it goes back to the tank. So it does full motion. The liquid coming out of the blower into the heat exchanger is being cooled, because that's where it's gonna get hot, is post blower. Blower's gonna heat up the liquid. It's gonna go here and cool down. And then the cooled down liquid is gonna go back to the tank And then, so hopefully the pump is pulling the coolest water and sending it straight to the blower. You can stick some ice in there if you want to. But I'm probably just gonna run it ambient most of the time. This is a street car. Me and my girl take this car out. It's not like a race car, but it is modded pretty good. So just wanted to run a little cooler and be more consistent. So I'm putting the car back together. Got a fresh oil change. There's all the old coolant stuff. This setup did add some weight. I will say it added some weight. But I did take out the spare tire and the jacks and the tools and stuff because it doesn't fit anymore, obviously. I don't really go on long trips. I stay local, so I'm not worried about a flat tire. And I have a truck and trailer if I need it. And then this stuff has some weight, so I don't know. I probably put in more weight than I took out, but we'll see. Water tank for the blower. So liquid to air intercooler setup. EMP pump, 5-gallon tank. Seems to be working pretty good. All right, I've been running the setup for maybe a day now. Everything's working well. As you can see, no issues. I had to cut a hole here because this tank, it's stuck up a little bit higher than the floor, and I wanted to use my trunk, so I wanted to put this back. So we still have a full trunk except for the cap. No big deal. The pump does make some noise, but when you're cruising on the highway with the exhaust and everything, you can't hear it. I do have everything heat wrapped. Heat exchanger, everything has been bled. A couple tricks is, if you look, there's a high and a low port on the blower. Well, heat rises, so the top one is going to be your hottest and the bottom one will be your coldest. So keep that in mind. The same thing with the heat exchanger. You have an upper port and a lower. The lower port's going to be slightly cooler, so that's what's going back to my tank because the heat's going to rise. So with all that being said, to pull heat out of the blower, I took the top one and put it to the heat exchanger. The bottom one is return, I think. No, the bottom one is feed from the pump. Comes from the pump into the bottom one, out of the top one to the heat exchanger top, and then out of the bottom back to the tank. And everything's, like I said, heat wrapped. There's one, kind of see it, there's one, that heat wrap hose right there is a little low, but I haven't rubbed it on anything yet. I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, but I gotta put this cooling plate back on. I have it right here, and it seems to be working well. So with the car idling or driving in slow traffic like I'm doing in the neighborhood right now, you're gonna get hot. The supercharger's bolted to the engine's creating heat. It's gonna get hot in there. But once you start drawing some air in, when you open your throttle, so you open my throttle a little bit, it'll start dropping because you're pulling in cool air. You see how it went from 126 to 120 just because I'm pulling air in. It's not just heat soaking in there. So with this setup, you're not gonna see ambient temperatures. It's 85 here. I'm getting 120, 125 when I'm cruising around. The thing is before with the old, I had a divorced supercharger loop with the heat exchanger before, and that thing would climb. You'd be like at 120 degrees and you'd floor it and it would go to like 150, like between a pull, and then it would cool back off. This one does not climb near as fast. It does not climb near as fast. It creeps up. I'll do a pull and show you guys here in a second. But yeah, that's what I've noticed is like you're not gonna get close to ambient because you're trying to cool off something that's constantly being heated up. But it does pull heat out of the air, and that's what you want. You're not really technically keeping things cool. You're trying to pull heat out. So before I had a separate reservoir up here when I divorced my loop. And if I went for a long drive and I beat on the car a little bit and I put my fingers in that water, it would burn me. It would be so hot because there's only like a gallon or two in that whole system. This one, I'll go beat on it and I'll put my fingers in the reservoir in the trunk and it's like lukewarm. So it's definitely keeping things cooler. All right, so I'm cruising. It's at 126. I was sitting at a light. I'm pulling in some fresh air, so it's definitely cooling off. That's just getting rid of the heat soaked air that's built up in the plenum. But if I do a little second gear, you'll see that it does not go crazy. See how fast it's recovering? Before, if I did that, it would go up to 150 like instantly. So it's definitely recovering way faster, and it doesn't spike as fast. It's still going to spike. There's nothing you can do about it. But it definitely is making a noticeable difference, in my opinion, on air intake temperatures. So overall, I think it's working well. And another thing to note is on the highway, when you're cruising and that heat exchanger is getting a lot of air blowing on it, it'll do a lot better. That was after sitting at a light and then hitting it. Just the extra capacity and everything is just keeping things a little bit cooler inside there. So I think when you're on the highway, you'll even see better results. When I used to do highway pulls, they would just climb. Like the AITs would just skyrocket straight up. And now I think it's a little bit more manageable. It's not spiking as quickly, and which is better for your car. It's going to keep it from bleeding off boost or taking back timing to try to protect the engine. So overall, I think it's worth it. All right, so I'm driving now. I have the pump off just for experimentation, and you see I'm 149. It's like super high. So I'm gonna turn the pump on now. See what happens. So I turned the pump on, and within 10 seconds, it's already dropping. It's 140 now. It was 155. So it definitely has an effect on cooling. I'm gonna start driving here. It's gonna go lower. 138, 135. So I was driving for a little bit with no pump on. Look at that 120. It's just jumped 10 degrees. It really has a big impact when the pump is on versus off. So look at that, all the way down to 120. So it definitely is doing its thing, and it recovers fast. But you're kind of like fighting fire, like with water. It's trying to cool something off that's getting hot all the time. So you can only get it so good. But so far, I'm happy with the way everything is operating.
If the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal.